So hi everyone, I'm Wiki. I'm currently actually a set designer in theater, and I'm also teaching in spatial design in a high school. And my background is also from architecture, so this whole project I'm introducing is a kind of bridging the two sides. And why I'm opening this first is because the festival that I'm creating is quite heavily based on this idea that already happened and harvest in Japan, and it's the Ichigo tsunami. And because of the time, I will just quickly show this whole background. So this village is like a rural village, and because the weather is quite hard, and so it got heavy snow in the winter, and that's why the youth mostly are moving to the city to work as they grow up. And that's why this village is sort of like dying and remain with old people. And one creator, he see this problem, and so he start to invite some artists to come to this place and to make artwork and making this this whole place kind of revitalized. So these are some of the artwork. So they organize like every 3 years and invite lots of volunteers and attract back the youth, because as the festival is getting more and more successful, they need the whole thing to organize, as you can imagine. So this is what it's like over there. So this is, because of time, I will just skip this. And so back to this. Okay, so my group is named EmptyScape. So it's concerned about the abandoned land, and okay, we are formed like with you can see like 8 person at the beginning, and it's from various backgrounds, included architects and urban researcher and marketing people and people from the news in the government sector. So he's kind of spying and doing this, and yeah, this is how we gather. Yeah. And at the beginning, it's actually from a very simple idea, because a friend of mine in theater, we just kind of get bored of doing shows in the black box or the proscenium stages, and like we get bored of doing exhibition in the white cube. So we start thinking, oh, maybe we can do shows site specifically. And this is how we began, and we write a proposal, surprisingly, without getting any venue promise, and somehow we got the fund. So then we really have to make it come true. And we begin with having some sort of symposium and concerts. This is our very first concert at the Li Yu Mun. If you go past beyond the village, it's actually a I forgot. Set 廣場, is that how is it? It's like the abandoned, like empty land, and we just brought our own electricity to there and hold a concert there. So what we are concerned is not only just the abandoned buildings, but like the marginal spaces or the places that are like underused, like this, like under bridge spaces, or the weird pocket parks, etc. And this is the Meigong factory, which we always think is it would be great to be like something like Tate Modern if it's possible. But we have searched the land department, and we couldn't get the owner. And this is a estate actually in Wenchai, and left like over 10 years, and it's just like this. So at the same time, we are not promoting to really occupy it, but just to make use of these in-between life of this location or buildings. So art, we think, is a very good medium to do this and to utilize it. And as the time goes by, and as I mentioned, as we experience the Japan festival, and we get more and more to into the community aspect of it. We think that not only we kind of just inject into the space, but we should to bring out, carry back the stories behind these places. And in the beginning, while we keep looking up at the urban space, as you can see the pictures before, we thought the festival could only be success if it's in the urban space, because if it's in rural, no one would go. But because of the strange laws and rules, and we hardly can get any department that allow us to legally do this in this space. And even we pretend that we are doing movie shooting, and it's not quite possible. So end up by chance, we encounter a school in the rural area in the New Territories, and it's in Finland, in the Northeast Territories. If you are aware of the news, it's actually inside the zone of the government development plan, and this school we find is the Pingyang Public School. And as you can see, actually the high rise is Shenzhen, and the Greenland is Hong Kong. So you can see all the green are gone in Shenzhen, and then even like ants and insects, they all migrate to these Northeast Territory areas. And this is the village that where our project be. And the current government is planning to evade this village and to build a park over there, and then somewhere here there is a golf ground, and it would remain safe. But this village is kind of threatened. And this is the school. When we find this, it has been abandoned for about 7 years. And unlike what we are experiencing, as you can see in the city, is mostly like 6 stories building block for our school. This school is kind of spread out 1 story height, and the students actually took part in making the cement and making the sport ground themselves. And the villagers are mostly graduate from the school, as you can imagine. So they are quite closely still living within the space, and the stories are kind of still quite connected. Unlike our experience, like we keep moving home and so on. So this is made by the student at the time. It's not like by construction workers. So as we start to get to know the village more and to get to know the villager more, and then 2 years ago we did our first art festival. And this is all covered by grass. So stories actually are not known by us, but like since the villagers see we are doing things there, and then they review the school anthem there, and then we do workshops, not only for realizing the artwork, but it's kind of a way to attract the youth in the city to come here to know more about the place, and also like to attract our potential audience. So different kind of workshop. This is a workshop by CNG Art Department, and we collect stories from the villager, and all those stories are about the school, about the kids, and when they're two kids, and these are strangers, and they are not experienced in art at all, and they just come and to do live drawing in the place. But this is the only one, which is the alumni, and she saw our events, and she comes voluntarily. So this is how it ends up. You can still see these paintings if you visit there. And this is the lyrics from the school song, and artwork by artists. And we did a 2-week. We opened like 2 weekends, and so this is the artwork. This is another artist, Yang Shaochak, and he lead his students and really interviewed the villagers and to ask them to bring out their most precious object from their home and to list out the stories as an exhibition. And this is by another alumni from the school, and he drew it out. And somehow by chance, this school is very unique in the way. If you heard of the natural, I'm not sure about the English name, I'm sorry. But it's the only school like really in nature and not in our current formal kind of education system. And this is the principal now. And he grew up in this school, and his father is was the secretary of this school. And then this, who drew the painting you just saw, and he was his student, and he is now teaching with this guy. So it's like the whole story more and more stories start to reveal with this. And this is, so I'm starting to introduce various groups if you are interested, because they are all doing very interesting project. And this is Ficus Choi, who is doing the mapping for the grassland and greenland in Hong Kong. So his organization is Long Map. And the different way we find out is like artists is not like doing their own work in their own nuts and studio, but like this Ng Ka Chen, who literally sculpt the chairs from a tree trunk. So everybody pass by and give a comment and say, no, the old school chair wasn't look like that and look like this. So even people not really knowing arts, they start to get involved. You see? Yep. And this is the only artwork we make, because we are not as lucky as Japan, which you can see like many artworks still being preserved, because the owner of the school is partly by the villager from the originated villager, which kind of against, they pro the development plan. So basically, we kind of couldn't get into it for a while. So all the other artwork you couldn't see now, but this chair, yep. It just got nominated to some world art competition or something like that. And this is the architect. Another architect group, Hour 25. So they borrowed the skill from the local farmer. Like this, growing the eggplant. And to make it, also inviting volunteer to make it into a sculpture. And this is by me. So this is by myself, and I just pretty use what is there, and to like find a teaching table and let people write wishes. And also surprisingly, we without our expectation, and there is a villagers seeing what we do and say, oh, maybe I can make something, and then this is what he end up making. And so as you can, he's a truck driver as a profession, and he make this to express his kind of anger to the plant. But as you can see, as he leave, he start making something more fun. And also, beside the artwork, we do have some performances. And this is also the Hakka singer from the local. And symposium and concerts, which we find attract most people. And this is another interesting group, despite it's football, but it's by an artist. And why he's doing this is, I'm not he's Wiki Lo is the director of the Blue House in Wan Chai. And his background is he's originally a professional soccer. And so, but he was injured, and that's why he turns his profession into arts. And when he finished his art, and he's doing artwork nowadays, but he also find this people's football team and to play football with the locals in all kinds of special locations, like Kwun Tong, or maybe pretty soon he would play in the Chin village, the last village in the city in the Kowloon East. And mainly, after all, we are not aiming at the arts, but to get people know more about the place. And so this the tour we also organize to make the visitor and to get to know the background and history of the place at that time. And we find that actually people are very interested in it, and almost like the purpose that why they came. This is, if you interested, this is another abandoned cattle. Pig actually mean pig, so it raised pig in the old times, and this is like the square feet, and one room is how it being read. Yep. So at that time, we end up attract like 2,000 people, over 2,000 people to there, to know this place. And afterwards, we think it's weird, like if we just do something and then gone. So, and also that event have attracted various group to work with the villagers. And the first one is Votra. If you have heard of it, it's like they promote you travel and doing voluntary works at the same time. So they have linked it up with the villages, and they have invite like Japanese and all kinds of foreigners to come to this village. And at that time, there is nothing much that we could think of. Oh, what can they do? And so the villagers make up their mind and think, oh, maybe they can paint the road, and that's how we start our painting projects, which is still ongoing now. So to keep on have something to happen in this place, and to give this village more character, if you might say. And it's surprise also like surprisingly it's on Google Map. You can see like it's marked like Paint Village, something like that. And yep, so this is about the festival and what we are doing now. And we are having a larger scale, planning a larger scale, hoping to really have some artwork remain in the village in coming February. And yes, as I mentioned, the house painting, if you are interested, you can keep looking up on our Facebook or website. Thank you.